The reason that people don't understand the nuances of holding mentally ill people accountable for their behavior and not using it as an excuse is not only because they don't understand the mental illness, but it's also because people don't understand what accountability actually is. I deal with this with men all the time. They're like, I'm sorry. You're like, for what? They're like, for whatever I did that made you upset. Okay, and what is that? I already said I'm sorry. What more do you want from me? I won't do it again. What won't you do again? That's not an apology. If you can't explain and understand exactly what you did wrong, how it affected other people, and why you're not going to do it in the future, then you've not been held accountable. And if you refuse to take this accountability because it's inconvenient for you and you don't want to, then yes, you should be punished. But there's a huge difference between choosing to not be able to view things through these perspectives and not being cognitively capable of it because you're viewing the world through a distorted lens clinically. If you're trying to hold me accountable and punish me for murdering my brother, but I didn't murder my brother, there was a dragon that was breathing fire on a classroom full of children and I slayed the dragon, I'm a hero. It doesn't matter how much you demand accountability. You could put me in jail, you could torture me. I'm never going to understand how my actions negatively affected other people because I'm a hero. If that situation happens again, I'm going to do the exact same thing. And accountability and me realizing that was actually my brother is not going to happen on your timeline. And you have no idea when I'm going to figure that out because you're not a mental health professional who is actively overseeing my cognitive state. And that is a dramatic example to explain how fucking absurd it is to demand accountability from people who are having, and I quote, the symptom of distorted senses of reality. A lot of racist people don't know that they're being racist. So no matter how much you argue with them, they still continue to be racist because they choose to be ignorant because it's easy and there's no consequences for them. They need to be punished because once they have consequences to those behaviors, hopefully they'll learn. But if your ignorance of reality is not a choice, then it doesn't matter how much you're punished, you will never learn the lesson. So if you tell me objectively in this reality that what I'm saying is racist, but I subjectively am in a different reality where I am talking about something else, it doesn't matter what you say, I am not coming to your reality. And I may come there eventually, but it sure as hell not fucking happening on your timeline. We're in two different worlds having two different conversations. And yes, is that hard for people who are in an objective reality to deal with? Yep. But it's 10,000 billion times harder for the person who's in an alternate one. Because when you do eventually come back fully to that objective reality, it can hit you so fucking hard that you unalive yourself. Because when you are in your full cognitive state, you don't need other people around you to tell you what you did was wrong. Because objectively, in reality, it obviously is. When you realize that you killed your brother, you don't need to hear everybody telling you that that was wrong. You know that was wrong. You have to deal with the shame and guilt because you now understand exactly what you did wrong, how it affected other people, and what you would never do in the future. But you have to deal with the fear of knowing that it could happen in the future again because you won't know if it's real or not. That in and of itself is a reason people unalive themselves. The fear of knowing that maybe you will do this again and you want to be held accountable, but you don't know if you can be. We live in a world where you have to preemptively plan how not to kill people, how not to harm other people without you knowing it. And then people come around and go, you're not doing enough to try to not be bipolar. You're not doing enough to try to be healthy and stop yourself from going down these bad paths again. And I even see bipolar 1 people in these comment sections enabling these fucked up ideas. And I'm like, I don't know what manic episode you had, but it sounded like it would have been best case scenario. Just because during your manic episode you didn't rob your entire family and then light their house on fire doesn't mean that somebody else is lying about their manic episode making them do that. Everyone is affected differently. If you have never hurt or caused harm to other people, if you haven't had episodes that ruin your entire life, lucky you. It's not because you're a better person. It's not because you tried harder. It's because your delusions were different. It's because your manic episode presented different. I I know thousands and thousands and thousands of bipolar people. People message me shit asking for advice every single motherfucking day. I have heard the most insane shit on the planet. And it provided me empathy. It provided me context. It provided me an understanding of other human beings. But I didn't need any of that to be able to know that just because I haven't experienced it doesn't mean it's not possible. Just because I don't understand it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Just because I don't understand it doesn't mean that it's wrong. Just because I don't understand it doesn't mean that it's not real. This is not about my boyfriend beat the shit out of me because his dad beat him as a kid and he just uses that as an excuse and continues to beat me. That is not what we're talking about here. I don't get to say because I have BPD, I can manipulate whoever I want because it's just a symptom of my disorder and I don't give a fuck that I manipulated you and I don't care that how that affected you. No, I am cognitively capable of understanding that. I am cognitively capable of learning the skills to be able to have control and understanding and rational regulation over my behaviors and actions. I'm capable of learning those things. But strangers are not the ones who are capable of determining that. A lot of times, a lot of abuse in relationships is caused because people don't understand what accountability means. And when someone is in an emotionally dysregulated state, you're not going to be able to rationalize with them. So if someone is 10 out of 10 freaking the fuck out and you're demanding they're accountable for their behavior in the time they're still engaging in said behavior, you're not getting anywhere. You are going to get this exact same behavior. There needs to be time for reflection. My phone died, so I lost my train of thought, but bitch, I was on a rant. Bitch, I was on a rant. I am the rant queen. That's one thing that people always say to me too. Why do they call it a rant? Why, when everyone refers to me, is it a rant? Like, Tana Mojo has story times, but when I do it, it's a rant. She makes educational videos. No, she's ranting. But I'm about to go on another rant. I need to make another video about parasocial relationships because a lot of people don't understand mental illness. That's a huge percentage of the situation here. A lot of people don't understand accountability, but a lot of people don't understand the weight and responsibility of having an influence and what that looks like, the consequences of that. Because we all look at the benefits, right? Like, you have ultra wealthy people who, you know what I mean? We look at celebrities, we look at pop culture, it's fucked up. But being a tiny baby little influencer in the world, and the benefits are amazing. I love, because there are also a lot of consequences, very severe, unalive worthy consequences for hearing everybody else's opinion of you and hearing all these voices. And when you're in a manic episode, you have 1 billion voices in your head. And now imagine doing that on a public stage where you not only have the 7 billion voices up here and the chaos in your own mind, but because you are chaotic, every single person around you, millions and millions of people, are bringing more chaotic energy to you and also telling you what you should think and believe when you already have 7,000 thoughts in your head telling you what you should think and believe. And now you want to argue and fight with all of those thoughts because they're different than your thoughts and there's so many thoughts going on. Answering comments during my manic episode, going on to my videos and making videos and answering comments was what fueled me to stay manic for the 2.5 months that I was manic, which is an extremely long manic episode.